Ask how her day was. And really listen. Don't let her feel alone. Not even once. Because sometimes, love is just about showing up. Every single day, no matter what. I wanted to show her, not just say it. I wanted her to feel it in how I looked at her. How I spoke to her. How I stayed close even on her silent days. At the same time, I was preparing the people around me. Especially my family. It wasn't easy. See, my father, he's a quiet man. The kind who doesn't show too much emotion. Who believes in actions more than words. For a long time, I wasn't sure how he would react. Not because she did anything wrong. Never. But because when you bring someone close to your heart, you're also trusting your world to accept them. I didn't want anyone to just tolerate her. I wanted them to love her. Just like I did. It's one thing to love someone in your heart, but when the world embraces them too, it's a different kind of joy. So I started slow. One evening, while sitting with my father, I said, "I've been seeing someone." He looked at me and simply nodded. I waited a second. Then added, "She's kind. She makes me better without even trying." Still no big reaction. Just another quiet nod. But then, after a pause, he asked, "She make you feel steady? Like your feet are on the ground?" And I smiled. Exactly that. He didn't say anything after that. He just sipped his tea and gave this half smile. The kind that said more than words. I didn't push. I didn't have to. Later, I showed him a picture of her. Not some fancy photo. Just one where she was laughing. Her hand halfway covering her face like she didn't want the camera to catch her. He took the phone, stared for a moment, and handed it back. Then finally, he said something that made my chest feel warm. "She's got peace in her eyes. That's rare." That moment told me everything. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not because I was worried. But because I was excited. Because now, this wasn't just my secret anymore. She was slowly becoming part of my world. And my world was starting to make space for her. The next few weeks were filled with planning. Not big, loud plans. Just quiet moves. I asked her favorite color without being obvious. I took note of her favorite food. The way she liked her coffee. The kind of music that made her sway a little when no one was watching. Sometimes, the smallest details reveal the depth of our love. It's in those tiny things that we express what words can't say. I didn't tell her why. Because in my heart, I was already building a life around her. Piece by piece. And every time I looked at her photo saved on my phone, I whispered softly, "Soon, they'll all know. They'll know who holds my heart." I kept playing her laughter in my head like a quiet song. It didn't matter where I was. Driving, sitting alone, walking through a store. It was always there. That soft laugh. The way her voice lifted at the end of a sentence. Like she was handing me something precious without making a big deal out of it. The more I listened to it in my mind, the more I realized how deeply I was falling. But still, I hadn't said her name in public. Not once. I kept her in my heart like something fragile. Not out of shame, but out of protection. I didn't want her to be misunderstood or judged by people who didn't even know her soul. I was waiting for the right time. That time started to come one afternoon. I was invited to speak at a gathering. Nothing too big. Just friends, family, and some people from the community. They wanted me to talk about love, of all things. At first, I laughed it off. Me? talk about love? But then I thought about her. I thought about how she made the ordinary feel important. How she never tried to impress anyone, but somehow impressed me every day. And I thought, maybe this was the moment. So, I said yes. When the day came, my palms were sweating. My heart felt like it was pounding against my ribs, asking me, "You sure you want to do this?" I looked down at the small note I'd written earlier that morning. It wasn't fancy. The ink had smudged slightly in the corner where my thumb had rested too long, and the paper was creased from being folded and unfolded a dozen times. Just one sentence was written on it. Her name. That was all. No poems. No metaphors. No elaborate declarations. Just her name, as simple and profound as that. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of everything I had carried for so long settle in my chest. And then, I started talking. Not to impress, not to persuade. I didn't use big words or well-rehearsed lines. I didn't tell a perfect love story because, truthfully, ours wasn't perfect. It was real. It was raw. It was flawed and messy and breathtakingly beautiful in the most unexpected ways. I said, sometimes love doesn't arrive with grand gestures or lightning strikes. It doesn't always look like the stories we've read or the movies we grew up watching. Sometimes, love walks in quietly, unnoticed at first. It slips into your life on an ordinary Tuesday, sits beside you when you're not looking, and softly asks how your day was, like it has all the time in the world to listen to your answer, and it stays. It stays through the awkward silences and the tired conversations. It stays when the shine fades and the real work of loving begins. It stays when your walls go up. When your past gets loud, when your heart hesitates, it stays anyway. Love, I said, doesn't always come in with a roar. Sometimes it comes with a whisper. In the little things, in the way she remembers your favorite song, or how she gently nudges you toward your dreams when you've forgotten how to believe in them yourself. In the way she holds space for you when you can't find the strength to speak. I told them I wrote her name down because that's where everything starts for me. Every decision. Every risk. Every moment I choose to be better, to try harder, to open up a little more. Her name is the anchor. The compass, the heartbeat behind every breath I take. And no, I didn't fall in love in some cinematic way. There were no fireworks, no symphonies playing in the background. It happened slowly. So slowly I didn't even realize it at first. Like the tide rising around my feet, gentle, quiet, inevitable. Like roots pushing into the earth beneath me, steady and unseen, giving me something solid to stand on. I told them that love, real love, isn't always loud. Sometimes it's soft. Sometimes it's patient. Sometimes it's the gentle knowing that someone sees you, not for who you pretend to be, but for who you are when all the pretending stops, and that's what she gave me. I looked up from the note. Hands slightly trembling, but my voice was steady. I said, if love is supposed to be logical, if it's supposed to make perfect sense, then maybe I've done it all wrong. Because all I know is, when I think of home, I think of her. When I think of peace, I hear her laugh. And when I think of forever, it's her hand I want to hold. And I smiled then. Not for them. Not for the moment, but because for the first time in a long time, I knew I had found something worth holding on to.